Alrighty, so this is We the People News. One more time at it, y'all. Alright, not attorney, not giving legal advice, okay? Just my opinion only. Do your own research. Educate yourself, okay? If you don't, that's willful ignorance. And ignorance of the law is no excuse, allegedly. We got 34 million laws out there. I have to dare challenge that part, right? Ignorance of the law is a perfect excuse for the people that don't usually research it. All right. So before I go on, we're going to check out a couple of videos that you guys see periodically throughout about DWI in Tennessee. But I challenge this as well. The Eighth Amendment says that we have a right, not a privilege, a right to bond out. And the bond must be reasonable. Okay? Now, that being said, what's reasonable? They never put a price in it, right? Whatever that means. Okay? But our founding fathers was not completely ignorant. Okay? A millionaire, it's reasonable the bond to be $1 million. Okay? You make $100,000. If you have $100,000 in the bank, that's reasonable. If you're poor and live on the streets and you have $0 on the bank, then that could be recognized and get out without bail. That's reasonable. Or, $5-10. Now, what they courts have done is created a bond agency that they'll charge you for $250,000 for really a $5,000 bond. But they don't want you out. So they make it unreasonable. Or they tell you you're not allowed to be bonded out. But that's nowhere in the Eighth Amendment. It says we all have a right, not a privilege, a right to bond out. And it must be reasonable. So they're breaking two of their own laws. Now, some of you guys think, I call them criminals and all that. But I tell you guys, these Constitution things they're violating. And just kind of pointing out the obvious. All right. Now, we're going to step on side note and do this right quick. There's going to be a couple of videos in this one video. All right. There may be a commercial. I'm going to have to read it. Hang on. There we go.
The video you've got to see. It shows state police wrongfully arresting 7 innocent people for a crime they didn't commit. 7 sober drivers charged with DUI arrested by different troopers in different parts of the state.
It's the latest discovery in Chief Investigative Reporter Jeremy Finley's sobering problem investigation. Go ahead and step on out of the car. We're going to have a conversation, okay?
On the evening of June 23rd, Stephanie Fair was about to find out she was in double trouble.
There's a very distinct odor of alcohol that comes from either a person or inside the vehicle.
Right. I understand, but on my life, I don't drink alcohol. I just ate.
When he started asking me about drinking, I instantly got this feeling in my stomach, like this is bad.
And it was. She'd been pulled over for failing to move over, something the state trooper was not pleased about.
She almost hit me when I was wrapping up the traffic stop. I come up to the car, and it just reeks of alcohol. How's she gonna test? You can see it in her eyes.
He clearly states
Yeah.
he could smell the odor of alcohol beverage.
Yeah, when he said he could smell it, I know this is corrupt. This is completely wrong.
Place your hands behind your back.
Now,
when he said he could smell it, I know this is corrupt. This is completely wrong.
all right. So the guy with the camera that you can't see the picture of, right? But this officer right here, right? Well, if he can smell the alcohol as bad as he claims, then this officer right here should be able to do it. Now, why is he backing this up? So when you talk about other people and other videos and all that, saying that they always back one another up, well, this officer right here is backing up this officer for the lie for this lady. Now, allegedly, she's some type of famous pop star. Okay, I did heard a song of hers just to check it out a couple of days ago. By the way, I've seen this a few days ago. But the question is, they're all gaining up on innocent people. And we're supposed to trust what they have said in their paperwork, on the side of the roads, and judges follow along with it. You know, on purpose, on design.
Because you're being placed under arrest for DUI. Ma'am?
Why? I haven't drank anything. I don't drink.
And she was right. Not only did her blood work show she had neither alcohol nor drugs in her system, her attorney got video of where she'd been before being pulled over. That's her getting ice cream.
I'm sorry. I was more scared being with that cop alone than I actually was inside the jail. I was terrified.
Candace.
All right. So, I'm led to believe that she's a pop star. She's pretty wealthy. Welcome to the rest of us down here with us little people that has to deal with this every day, young lady. All right. So we're going to back up here. Okay. We're going to switch over here. Now, most people are not talking about these things.
Like empires, prices right.
Okay. But I want to try to point out some obvious things that we just not been actually asking ourselves, right? We're always looking straight forward, not around us, be able to protect ourselves by any means necessary. But hang on. Here we go.
The courts would mandate that you would have one of these installed in your car.
You have to blow into it before you're able to drive to prove that you're not drunk. And one company requires you to sign a contract with strict rules. Chief investigative reporter Jeremy Finley found it's having unintended consequences for innocent people.
Steps have been made to reach you to discuss your agreement with the tax law.
For Shelley Hoover, the calls keep coming
You are in violation of the terms and conditions of your contract.
and coming.
You must contact the tax law collections department.
And they called me relentlessly. They called my work. They sent me emails.
There are collections calls coming from Intoxilock. They're a Des Moines, Iowa company that leases ignition interlock devices to prevent accused drunk drivers from reoffending. Hoover was charged with DUI last November and was court-ordered to have one of the devices installed in her car. She says the court didn't tell her, though, she'd have to sign a contract to lease the equipment with Intoxilock for a year.
They never told me I would have to sign a contract.
Not only do you have to pay to have it installed, look at the other charges. $82 at the signing of the lease, $117 in other charges, and nearly $50 every 2 weeks.
I'm a single mom. I wasn't even receiving child support then. It was absolutely terrible.
4 months after her DUI arrest, her blood work showed she was completely sober. You were innocent the entire time.
The entire time I was completely innocent. I didn't do anything wrong.
And you had to keep paying
Yeah.
every month.
Yes, sir.
And there's no way to get your money back.
No.
They had to pull all this out.
Angie Blankenship says the entire dashboard of her SUV had to be removed to install the Intoxilock device after her DUI arrest. After making payments for months, her blood work showed she was below the legal limit of alcohol, and the charges dropped. But she had to pay again to have it removed.
Yeah, they charged me $200 more to take the device off of my car.
I mean, I'm not rich by no means. And I asked my attorney, I was like, well, can I get my money back? And she said no.
And for Hoover, even after her DUI dismissal, Intoxilock keeps trying to charge her. She claims the company said she violated her contract by never showing proof that her driver's license had been reinstated. There's just one problem with that.
My driver's license was never suspended. And they started charging me $300 a month for breaking the contract.
For weeks, we've been emailing Intoxilock, We also emailed an attorney representing the company in an unrelated lawsuit. No response from either. And
All right, now I'll probably follow up with this. Now, I just talked about bond, right? But nowhere in the bond did it give any sort of frame reference to as you are bonded out, you are forced into a contract with the corporation, right? That's just like saying, because you're bonded out, you must now have internet. Because we're getting kickbacks, the court's getting kickbacks or whatever, right? But it's the exact same principle. All they're doing is using that as a scapegoat to go ahead and have you enter some form of contract. Now, I'm going to back up there for a second. That's Hell versus Hinkle. Anyway, okay? And government is not allowed to force you into contract. Okay? So when they did this plea thing, remind you guys, she's still presumed innocent. Or they are. Okay? And this is what's happening with a lot of innocent people. That they have to go through all these pains and penalties and bill of attainder to go through all this crap under the guise of safety, right? To waive your freedom for safety, we do not deserve either one. Okay? Short version. But they could just easily make it where you had to force you into a contract just to even get internet or any other type of contract. You must have a contract to go shop at Sam's. Now this is kind of outside the spurts, but if they could force you into one set of contract, then they could force you into another set of contract. And if they could force you into another set of contract, then they could force you into another contract. Where does it end, people? And it's nowhere at all within the guidelines of the 8th Amendment. Okay? Bond out. You was kind of found under probable cause. Get a bond. Okay? Then proceed forward. But these courts are creating such a monopoly of entering all forms of contract that we're doing under duress. And we're not sitting thinking, wait a minute, what constitutional authority gives the courts jurisdiction to force me into a contract? And due to under duress, because they said, well, if you don't do it, well, just sit in jail, right? So, that right there is conflict of interest. Either sign a contract or you sit in jail. That's conflict of interest. Because in Constitution, just says bond. That's all it is. Bond. And it must be reasonable. And since there's no price on there, they did not